Welcome everybody. Today I have a missing persons case that I would like to talk about. In 1974, 3 girls went missing, and 48 years later we have no idea what happened to these girls. This story is a long and complicated one with a lot of conflicting events that would lead law enforcement to make mistakes that would cause the case to turn out the way it did. If this sounds interesting to you in any way, then you should consider staying and getting comfortable, as this might take a while. Before we start, YouTube shows that less than 1% of you are actually watching and subscribing to this channel, so I know I hate to beg. I know you probably hate beggars and stuff like that, but please subscribe for life. Okay, let's set the stage for what's to come. On March 14th, 1962, a new mall was opened by the Hallmark Development Company, a division of Sears. This mall would be named Seminary South Shopping Center. The mall opened up with large department stores, with most notably a 240,000 square foot 3-level Sears, which damn, big Sears. The mall was a wide open air and had a basic layout in the form of an L. Pretty basic. The mall was very popular and expanded quickly. With JCPenney in 1964, they would also put an auto center right beside the building and would also put a movie theater right alongside it. Obviously, the mall stayed popular for many years and will bring us to today's story, where we have to jump 10 years later. Today is December 23rd, 1974, and it is a normal winter day in Texas with only 2 days before Christmas. Every kid was taking their 2-week break from school, and it was no different for Mary Rachel Trillica, Lisa Renee Wilson, and Julie Ann Mosley. Mary Rachel Trillica, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, usually referred to as Rachel, was at the time 17 and the oldest girl in the group. At this time, she had long brown hair, green eyes, and a chipped up front tooth, and a small scar on her chin. She was 5'6" at the time and weighed 108 pounds. I was surprised to read that at the time she was married to a guy named Tommy, which, okay. But they had been married for 6 months at that time, and they even had a wedding ring, which 17, wow, that's crazy. Back then it used to be a lot more common than it is now, so cool. Lisa Renee Wilson, usually referred to as Renee, she was 14, 5'2", and 110 pounds. She had light, wavy brown hair and brown eyes. The last girl was Julie Ann Mosley, and she is the youngest of the group, and with her being 9. She stood at 4'3" and was 85 pounds. She had blonde, shoulder-length hair and blue eyes. Anyways, continuing to the story, Renee had a pair of pants on hold at the Army and Navy store in Fort Worth. She was excited to get there. She asked Rachel to take her, and they planned to go out to South Cemetery Mall later and to finish their Christmas shopping. Renee was under the assumption that her boyfriend, Terry Mosley, would join them that day, but decided to change his mind last minute. He would later tell NBC, quote, "I backed out kind of last minute because my friend of mine was going to go to the hospital to have an operation. I told him I would hang out with him. He's a good friend. He had a good reason." However, they were able to get someone else to come with them, Terry's younger sister, Julie Ann Mosley. She learned about the outing and she begged her mother to let her go along, and she actually said yes, but her curfew was at 6 p.m. And so the girls went out at around 12 p.m. in Rachel's Oldsmobile 98 to the first place that they would go to. And obviously it was that Army and Navy surplus that they were talking about for the jeans. And after that, they made their way all the way to South Cemetery Mall, which was not too much further away. Not much is known after this period of time, and witnesses say that they have seen the girls throughout the afternoon inside the mall, and that they may have returned to the car at some point to drop off their purchases. The girls were supposed to return sooner, as Renee wanted to attend a Christmas party that Terry was having, so she wanted to be home by 4 to be ready. However, this never happened, and this would be the last time that anyone heard about these girls. When 4 p.m. passed and the sun began to set, the parents of all the girls grew concerned. In order to figure out why the girls haven't returned, some people waited by the phones while others drove to the mall. Renee's father, Richard Wilson, and a few neighbors drove less than 10-minute distance to the mall that evening to look for the children. Rachel's mother went into the mall and in every store and asked each manager to make an announcement to see if any of the girls were there. The Oldsmobile the girls used to drive to the mall was found nearby in the upper parking level near the Sears. A single Christmas present was discovered in the back seat, but there was no signs of struggle anywhere around the vehicle. The parents notified Fort Worth police, but they didn't act as quickly as the parents did, obviously. And so the fathers of the the three girls would jump onto the roof of a nearby building with a shotgun and stake the Oldsmobile overnight, but nothing came of it. The following day, many of the friends of the girls were called, but none of them heard anything. Police believed that the girls had escaped from their home, despite the parents' suspicion of foul play, although none of the girls had no reason to do it and they've never done it before. This theory was further believed by police when the following day, Rachel's husband, Tommy, received a letter in the mail that was addressed to him from Rachel, and it said the following: "I know I'm going to catch it, but we just had to get away. We're going to Houston. See you in a week. The car's in the Sears upper lot. Love, Rachel." The letter's content raised a lot of questions for the family, and the misspelling of Rachel's own name even made them question about the authenticity of this. In Rachel's name, there appeared to be an extra E that had been covered up when they produced an L. The mail was too formal and addressed Thomas rather than Tommy, which is something that Rachel never did. The lettering on the letter was described as childish scrawl. It was written on a piece of paper that was broader than the envelope that it was placed in. The postmark of the envelope was merely a fuzzy, legible post service number 76083, and had been canceled the morning it arrived at the Arnold's residence. Because the 3 was printed backwards, several people assumed the final 2 numbers had bing manually inserted into the stamp. If this were the case, the letter would have had a stamp from either Throckmorton, or Eliasville. I don't know how to say those, I butchered those, I'm sorry. Others, however, contend that the last 2 digits should have read 88, indicating that the document was mailed in Weatherford, Texas, which could have been. Sounds a lot. Furthermore, the stamp on the letter revealed that it had been posted before the news of the girls' disappearance, which had been widely publicized on the Star Telegram on Christmas Eve.
These girls have been missing now for 9 days. What are your feelings at this point?
There's something's happened to them. I know it. 'Cause it's just not like them. They wouldn't have just run off. Nobody heard nothing from them.
Well, 9 days ago, I thought maybe they had just went somewhere, but now I don't believe they have. I believe they've been picked up by somebody and been held, and that they've been hurt or something.
You haven't given up hope, though.
No, no hope give up. Just want them to come on back home.
Quote, "I don't think that the girls ran away. Renee wanted me to go with her to the mall. I'm pretty sure that I would have known if they were going to go running away." Terry, Julie's brother, said, quote, "And Rachel had this nice car to drive. If you're going to run away, why would you ditch your car in a parking lot?" The investigators are still unsure of the writer's identity after inconclusive handwriting tests. Initially, it was assumed that Rachel had been forced into handwriting the letter, or had done it in her free will, but this belief has subsequently been disapproved. Rachel and Thomas shared a home with Rachel's sister, Deborah. At the time of the trio's disappearance, despite being previously engaged, Thomas and Deborah decided to put off their wedding because the relationship had never been that serious. They claimed that living together under one roof was not an uncomfortable situation. Some members of the Mosley, Wilson, and Arnold family think that Deborah is concealing information about the disappearances. After an interview of her was printed on the Fort Worth Telegram in 2000, they wrote her a letter. They pleaded with her to share any information she may have to, quote, "fully cooperate with the Fort Worth Police Department and the FBI's investigations," in the letter. But she says that she doesn't know anything about what happened to the girls. The letter is still the sole tangible item that can be used as evidence in this investigation, which is sad. The police thought that the case was a runaway, so the case wasn't investigated as thoroughly as it should have been for the first year. This means that the car wasn't processed for evidence, nor did investigators dust for fingerprints for a long time. On December 27th, a reward fund for information that would lead to the recovery of the girls was established. After 6 weeks had passed with no solid leads, Julie's mother got a call at 11 p.m. The phone was silent for a moment before "Mama" was said. I asked, "Who is this?" And Julie said, "Mama" again. Mosley was positive she was speaking to her daughter and asked the caller, "Is this Julie Mosley?" And the caller said yes. "Listen, if this is someone playing a joke, please stop. I can't take this anymore." She then asked the caller where she was, and the girl said she didn't know. Julie said "Mama" once more, and as she was about to say something, the phone just hung up. Miss Mosley said, "I just kept screaming Julie after the phone went dead." Miss Mosley said, and then realized after a few minutes that she heard the dial phone, so she also put the phone up. Later, Miss Mosley would tell the Star-Telegram that she was certain that Julie was the caller and that she may have found a phone after being brought somewhere. "I'd be willing to swear it was her," Julie said. At the same time, the families employed J. Joseph, a well-known psychic. He gave his services for free and made a financial contribution to the expanding reward fund. He said that he had a feeling the group was heading somewhere north, towards Oklahoma or Illinois, and he had thought that something was off about the letter. Additionally, she said that dope is probably involved, along with 3 or 5 people, and that they were detained against their will. He gave the girls an unsettling warning while at the Arnold's house, saying that if they didn't see him again, it meant the girls had passed away. After that, he didn't speak to or go see the girls again. You know what really sucks about this case more than anything? After reading all this, the fact that a lot of people thought it was so funny. They thought they were the funniest trolls ever. They thought it was funny to call the parents and try to prank call them to say that they were the girls. Like, how messed up do you have to be to do that to someone? Honestly, people are the worst. You know, that I don't know. Some people are terrible. Yeah, and the fact that some people did this is just awful, giving people the thought that they're going to find their actual loved one. Anyways, the 3 families communicated with other physicians via mail, occasionally sending them a piece of clothes of the girls that they had worn. 60% of the psychics asserted that the disappearance was connected to the blue hippie van. The same percentage thought that the girls traveled north rather than south in the letter, as the letter said, agreeing with Mr. Joseph. So we're at the point of the video where most of the information is just mostly speculation, and we haven't really moved any further on the case since it happened, which is horrible to say, but it's the sad truth in many of these cases. What we're going to do now is we're going to list a lot of theories, and we're also going to see what other people have said in the past and other stuff, because I think it is important. Theories and sightings. A store clerk came forward saying a woman had approached her to say she'd witnessed Renee, Rachel, and Julie being put inside a yellow pickup truck parked by the Buddy's grocery store at the mall on the day that they vanished. This was similar to the 1981 report of another girl's witness. She had said that she had seen a lot of unidentified male who'd said he'd seen an unidentified male forcing a girl or girls into a van in the mall's parking lot. When he approached the group, the man had told him it was a family dispute and to stay out of it. Both stories have not been verified by police, and investigators have never been able to locate the woman who had spoken to the cashier. Investigators interviewed a night watchman who had been working at Alcon Laboratories just down the street from the Seminary South Shopping Center on the night of the disappearances. He reported seeing a car containing 3 women and 2 guys pulling into a building driveway that night. Unfortunately, that lead was also a dead end. They also spoke to a ticket agent at the local bus depot, claiming that 3 girls had asked about a trip to Houston and other destinations that morning after Renee, Rachel, and Julie disappeared. However, they aren't sure the information is reliable. In 1975, a man claimed to be an acquaintance of Rachel came forward to say that he had seen the 3 girls at a record store in a mall a few hours before they went missing. He noticed another individual with the group, and he and Mary had spoken briefly. That same year, women's clothes were found in Justin, Texas. While initially thought to belong to one of the missing girls, they were later determined to not be related to this case. The family hired a private investigator, John Swaim, in 1975 due to their frustration over how police were handling the investigation. He called numerous press conferences and forced investigators to allow him to access the case files. Throughout the year, he made national headlines, with one report stating that an unidentified man had tried to collect the award money in exchange for offering what turned out to be a false information to the girls' whereabouts. In April 1975, Swain traveled to Port Lavaca, Texas, with a group of 100 volunteers to search beneath local bridges after a tip came in saying that the girls' bodies had been dumped in the area. The city had previously been searched by investigators who uncovered nothing. Swain died in 1979 from an apparent suicide. Upon his death, he requested all his records be destroyed. It is currently unclear what those files contain, if they contain any legitimate information regarding this case. In 1999, Rachel's brother Rusty contacted private investigator Dan James to further help this investigation. The pair looked into several witness sightings of Rachel and Renee at stores at the gas station a few days following their disappearances. There are additional reports that Rachel had been seen in the Fort Worth area numerous times during the Christmas season. Both Rusty and James believe Renee and Julie had been deceased, but cited that the recent witness sightings of evidence that Rachel is still likely alive. They believe that an unidentified person or persons are keeping her away from her family, but they refuse to share what or any kind of evidence that supports that claim. In December 1999, James offered a $25,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of those responsible for the girls' disappearances. He is also one of the sponsors of MissingTrio.com, which is now a dead website, but back then it wasn't. A website that offered many updates and information regarding the case. He offered the money with his own savings and maintained he never received any financial compensation for the work that he has put into the investigations. The case was officially reopened by investigators in January 2001. A few months later, in April 2001, they held a press conference where they shared that they'd interviewed at least 20 new witnesses who had seen the girls at the mall on the afternoon of December 23rd, 1974. They also shared that they have narrowed down the possible suspect list to just 5 individuals. Over the years, the families have dealt with claims that their bodies have been located. Unfortunately, none of these remains have proven to be belonging to any of the 3. Investigators has also searched throughout the state medical examining records in New Mexico for unidentified females, but there has been no luck. The trio's dental and DNAs are available for comparison should their remains be found. Crime Stoppers had issued a $1,000 reward for information leading to the resolution of this case. There is a third car still beneath the waters of Benbrook Lake. Rusty had planned to bring it up, but it was found to be too dangerous of a job, given how disintegrated the frame had been while submerged. According to investigators, the last time they had lead was in 2001 when they collected DNA evidence. Due to the active nature of the investigation, the results have not been shared to the public. It is believed that the girls left the shopping center with someone that they trusted and admit foul play. A few details have been released regarding the investigation, which has frustrated the families. Richard Wilson claimed that he had been lied about his potential searches on the case. In one story relayed to FW Weekly, he said that he had been told by officers that they were going to look at the leads that the trio's bodies were at the bottom of the well in Alito, Texas. Richard decided to follow and trailed them to the Paris Coffee shop in the near south side before they returned to the station and called the families to say nothing had been found. They never actually traveled to the well location that day. Thousands of leads had been investigated and dozens of searches have been completed throughout the course of the investigation. There has been many searches and explored many back roads and stuff like that, so many things. While the families have walked along every creek bed and country roads, everything, they've tried everything. But nothing. A lot of people have been affected by this. A lot of family members, a lot of people are still going through the pain. They're trying their best to get through this because it is hard for them, and I feel for them. That definitely does suck. Terry, who lost his sister Julie and also his girlfriend Renee in that disappearance, he says he still struggles with the pain. He said, quote, "I learned to live with it, but it's hard to not let it affect me. I try not to let it rule my life," Terry says. "I try not to let it ruin my Christmas, but I'm glad when it zips by." Here's a couple of things before we finish off. Closure would be getting the person or persons involved in their disappearance to be put in prison for life or sentenced for the death penalty, and to have their bodies recovered to have a proper burial, and to move on ourselves and towards a normal life. And when I say normal life, I don't know what that looks like anymore. Rachel Trilica would be 65 years old today. Renee Wilson would be 62 years old today. And Julie Mosley would be 57 years old today. If you have any information on the disappearance of the missing trio, as this is still an ongoing case, please call this number. It might help the family. They look like this currently at this time, or what we think they look like. We don't know. At this point, the mall has also changed significantly now. It's Mexican themed. mall called La Gran Plaza. It does suck that the case got stuck where it did and how the police handled it from the start. At this point, I do hope that the families do get a good ending, whatever that is. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it and you want to see more videos like this. Let me know if you actually want to in the comments. I do enjoy making this and researching, but it is a lot of hard work. I apologize if this takes longer to put out. Thanks again. Like this video, watch my iceberg video, follow my Twitch, follow my Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok. This was Ricarsso. Please say the name right, goddammit. And as your favorite creator, I say to you...